Welcome. I am Sister Who. With me today on the show, we have my friend Imam Ibrahim Kazerooni, and we wanted to talk about individual spirituality in comparison, contrast to communal spirituality. Um, for some people, there's a distinction between spirituality and religion. Religion referring to societal institutions of spirituality, which by definition it would seem are always communal spirituality. Though I suppose there's various religious services, events that may or may not be spiritual in nature.
Well, I think we need to start first spending a few minutes. It would help to define exactly what we mean first by communal versus individualistic.
Okay.
And secondly by spirituality.
Okay.
I remember a number of discussions that I've had at various theological institutions when they talk about spirituality or community or individualistic, one or the other.
Mm-hmm.
In postmodern society, however we define spirituality, my main concern is to dispel something which has become prevalent in when we talk about, particularly when we mourn the absence of community and people respond, well, we have community, we have our own emails, we have our own cell phones, we have Twitters, we have Facebooks, etc., etc.
Mm-hmm. But the communities to which they're referring have no direct personal contact.
Exactly. I mean, that's my point. So somehow the notion of community in postmodern society has been co-opted into some kind of a parallel monolithic relationship. In a sense that, yes, in a virtual world you have this, that when I pick up my phone and call friends, or when I use my Facebook or go online, there is a monologue that exchange parallel to each other between me and somebody else. Mm-hmm. Or when I go to, say, chatting rooms for theological and any other discussion, there is a community. But is it the community in a virtual sense, the one we are talking about now in our spirituality? Or there is another definition of community which, in the light of the individualistic society, is absent.
Okay.
I want
to distinguish also, I guess this is kind of the point we're talking about at the moment. What is community? What makes community what it is? Probably the best reference I ever stumbled across was the book by Scott Peck called The Different Drum, Community Making in Peace,
mm-hmm.
In which he says true community is oriented around resolving conflicts.
Exactly.
Pseudo-community is oriented around avoiding conflicts. So if you have a church where everyone's making nice, we all be very polite, but if somebody's an alcoholic, we don't talk about it. If someone's having problems in their marriage, we don't talk about it.
And that's precisely my point. That's precisely my point.
It's not true community.
Yeah, because this avoidance of confrontation or avoiding, trying to avoid, say, conflict,
mm-hmm.
it's because we don't have the community in the traditional sense. Because if we were to confront it, then it obligates us as an individual, if we really have a community, mm-hmm. to take the necessary step towards a resolution of that conflict. And we don't want to do that. Mm. Because we are simply individuals that are brought together for a function, be it a church, a mosque, or somewhere else. There is there is connectiveness and there is a relationship.
Mm-hmm.
We are connected for that particular purpose of, say, the church, but there is no relationship in a sense that we don't feel for each other. Community.
There's no positive relationship.
Exactly. There is community is becomes an institution in which the members are prepared to love, sacrifice, give, resolve problems, work together, collaborate. The absence of an individual is very quickly realized, and people begin to become curious as to why X, Y, and Z is not here.
Well, another important element that I want to be sure include in that list is the ability to perceive. As a community, you can perceive a lot more of what's going on than any individual will see.
Because there is this notion of part and whole, collective and individual. It reminds me, I mean, this point that you raised now reminds me of a conference that I attended many years ago in New York on this notion of interfaith dialogue. And my point was that we really cannot have dialogue if we have no sense of community.
Okay.
And we may have monologues, each one is talking about something, but dialogue.
Talking at each other instead of talking to each other.
With each other.
Talking with each other.